Coach, let's talk about this year's recruiting class. You go back 2 years ago, 19th ranked recruiting class in the country. Last year, the 18th ranked recruiting class in the country. How do you think this one's going to stack up?
It's a little bit different. We brought in some older kids. We brought in a transfer. We receive a player back from his mission, Kellen Christensen, which was the Rookie of the Year before I took the job here at DU. And then we actually went overseas for the first time since we've been here as well, to Norway. So we brought in a mix of some young guys, which I think are very talented, as well as some older guys that I think are going to be able to help the maturity of the group, which I think is much needed. And we're expecting, to be honest with you, everybody says, oh, it's going to be better than the last one, better than the last one. We're expecting it to be up there with the last two with regards of guys coming in and having the ability to step in and help us right away.
Oh, they were much faster and much quicker, taller.
Pretty intense.
It was really hard.
It was awesome. I've always wanted to play against them or actually play with them, but it's even funner to play against them just to see how much better they are.
Cody Adams, in my opinion, is probably the most dynamic left-sided player in the country, and I think a lot of people that were recruiting Cody would say the same. Again, he's an ESP member, and I thought he showed very, very well at ESP and raised a lot of people's attention. Luckily, we had him committed before that. But Cody's a young man that, in my opinion, in youth soccer comes from one of the most professional environments right now. Plays for FC Dallas on the youth side of things, and he's always getting the very best competition and training every day. He's a player that, as a defender, he's going to make people's life miserable. So I think he's going to make our defensive team better because he's going to be running out players and he's going to cause fits for the other team. Extremely, extremely competitive kid that we're looking forward to seeing how he does. Chris is an extremely, extremely competitive kid, versatile, can play many positions. He's a kid that plays for the Chicago Sockers under I think one of the best youth coaches in the country, Dave Richardson. So I know he's got a great pedigree. It's in the Sockers, traditionally a very, very hard-working club that develops some very good college players. Positionally for Chris, I think he's going to be able to fill a couple of needs for us, both in the midfield and in the back. As I said earlier, he's very versatile, but extremely hard working. I know he's going to keep the level up every day. He's a kid that, as a youth player, I think every time we go out and see him play, he's getting better and better. And you always like to see that. When a kid says, hey, I'm coming to the University of Denver, to see them continue to progress, I think, if he continues to work as hard as he has been, I think he's going to be a very good player here. Cole is a kid that I've actually had my eye on since I think our first event Ryan and I went to when we got here was the Colorado State Finals, or at least recruiting event locally. Colorado State Finals 3 falls ago. Our first fall here, we went there and I said, I want that kid to play here at DU for me and help us win a championship. And Cole ended up getting a game winner in that game in overtime, led Broomfield to a state championship. And I'll tell you what, the best thing about Cole, he's got all the accolades. High school All-American, he's been to ESP, has played at the very highest level in the country, but every time he does anything, he works, his hardest at it. So if he puts an ESP jersey on, if he comes to overnight camp and he puts a jersey on, his high school jersey, his club jersey, anything he does, he competes at the very, very highest level, and I think Cole's going to be a player that can step in right away and help us. Keegan is teammates or former teammates with current Pioneer Mark Wigan. Keegan actually played for a long time for Fort Wayne and actually just transferred over to the Academy Club with Indiana United. And Keegan has all the tools. We're extremely, extremely excited about getting another Midwest player. I think he brings bite, he brings character. He's a dynamic player that scores goals. I think, if he doesn't win the Indiana Player of the Year, he'll be, very close to winning the Indiana Player of the Year. And Indiana has been a hotbed for a long time for soccer players in college and playing at the next level, and I think Keegan has all the tools to continue that.
And this is their second dead ball in about 2 minutes period, so it's another good opportunity for Homestead.
Again, just short of a corner kick. McMahon sends it in traffic, knocked in, goal. Homestead is on the board. Keegan Harkenrider gets the tally for Homestead. It's 1-0 Spartans. Harkenrider.
Once again, it just looks like maybe he was trying to play short ball in there into the near post, but it just skipped through the Zionsville defenders, and Harkenrider was right there.
Blair's an interesting one for me. He's got a special place with me. When I first took the job at Wake Forest almost 9 years ago, I actually trained Blair with his youth team. And I used to fool around with Blair, and I said, one day you're going to play for me. And I didn't know it was going to be here at the University of Denver, but I can tell you I'm extremely excited that we're able to get a player of his ability out of that state with so many big college soccer programs in that area. Blair is another one very similar to Chris. Is the day that he committed, he just continues to get better and better. He's put on so much strength. He's been working extremely hard, Blair is interesting because the first thing you look at when you see him run and you move, you think he's this incredible athlete, which he is. But the one thing I like about Blair the most is that he's a soccer player first. He's a player that we have expectations to step in and help the back line. I also think he can play in multiple positions as well, but extremely excited about being able, in my opinion, stealing a player from North Carolina and bringing him out here to be a Pioneer. Theo is what I talked about as the maturity side of things. He comes from a very, very professional environment in Stabæk, one of the top youth and senior clubs in Norway. Theo was the youth player of the year last year. Has turned down several contracts to come be a Pioneer, and he's excited about his opportunity here. Obviously, as we know, in Denver athletics, we have a pretty good Norway connection, and we're continuing that. And there's been some Norwegians that have played here in the past, and we're trying to continue that line. But Theo's a player that's actually going to join us in March. And we're extremely excited about getting him into the swing of things. He's going to get to play in spring games with us, so hopefully he's that much more ready for the start of the fall season. We're hoping that he can start bringing some of the younger players along, and really, because he's come from a professional environment, really letting the guys know what it's like to take that next step, and hopefully it helps us take that next step as well. Excited about having Kellen. Kellen is, we lost something when Kellen left. Obviously, he went on his mission and he left. I've only had Kellen for a spring and one fall, and as soon as the fall was over, he left. One of our leading goal scorers as a sophomore when he left. I think one of the better players in the MPSF. He's going to go through a little bit of a transition. Obviously, being away from the game, I think our program has taken, I hope, the next step as far as talent is concerned. But again, Kellen's going to join us back in March. So we add him into this recruiting class because he is a new face that hasn't been around for a while. But again, he's going to get games in March and be away with us. And we have a very good competitive schedule. And we're looking for Kellen to continue right where he left off and scoring goals for the Pioneers and helping us win a conference championship. Keegan is he's actually former teammates with some of our older players, Jared Stiegel, Bob Miltenberger, Alex DaCosta. Played as a youth player for his father, Kevin Smith, is very well known former professional as well as club coach, the director of coaching at Solar. Went to St. Louis as a freshman, played there for 2 years, and actually transferred mid-year this year. Keegan, again, like Theo, brings maturity, experience at the Division I level, obviously playing for one of the better programs in the country. And it was a little bit easier of a transition for Keegan to come to the University of Denver mid-year because he had some connections. Actually played in the summer this year with Blake Shannon as well, which played with the Solar team in the summer. Keegan is a very, very good soccer player. Center back, which with the loss of Chris Banghart, obviously in the MLS right now, the loss of Chris, we needed to fill a hole in the back of the team. And I think with Keegan and Blair, Theo, we brought in a good core group of defenders, and we'll have some competition in that spot. And we're expecting good things from Keegan.